So when I first started day game, I would spend pretty much like the first 1 or 2 years spending most of the time in Oxford Street. For those of you that don't know Oxford Street, it's essentially like one of the busiest streets in pretty much like the Western world. Certainly in London, it's the busiest street in London with all the shops, massive crowds, just loads of people, very, very busy area. And essentially, I'd go there because of, that's where most guys would go to, approach girls. That's where all the shops are, and therefore that's where the largest quantity of attractive women are most likely to be. And it's true, that is actually where the largest quantity of attractive women were. But it kind of, the problem with it is that, like, well, there's a few things, but like one of the things was that it kind of was, I kind of developed this mentality very early on, like a bad habit, which was that, okay, I'm going to go out and do some day game now. Let's go to Oxford Street, let's get into day game mode, let's do some day game. When actually that's not really the best mindset to have. I mean, obviously as a beginner, yeah, you do need to kind of, push yourself to get to do some day game, obviously, but like, it made me kind of plateau pretty hard, and I got a lot of flakes in my first couple of years of day game. Mainly because, like, I think like a lot of the time the girls were kind of sensing that my interactions were a bit robotic or a bit kind of formulaic, like almost like I was reading off like some kind of internal script in my head. And yeah, the girls obviously, girls are obviously very intuitive with this kind of thing. They're very socially and emotionally intelligent, so they can pick up on these things when you might not necessarily realize it. So yeah, they could kind of sense that there was something a bit off with my vibe. I wasn't like fully connecting with them. I was kind of portraying a bit of forced energy. I was like forcing conversations upon them, acting a bit robotic, kind of saying things in almost like a robotic, slightly scripted kind of way. And yeah, it wasn't really conducive to actually building like a genuine, authentic connection with a new person, essentially. And that's what you really want to aim for. If you can master doing that, then yeah, day game's going to work really well for you. Because you have to remember, what day game is. It's a cold approach. You're a complete stranger trying to connect with another complete stranger. So therefore, you've got to go in there with the absolute best impression that you possibly can. And yeah, authentic, genuine connection is really important with that. But yeah, like the reason why I kind of think that, going to somewhere like Oxford Street all the time is not the best option isn't actually mainly because of the fact that there's loads of other guys doing it there, which is obviously a factor. And it's made the place, very saturated. If you approach a girl, she might have already been approached by another guy. But actually the main issue was the fact that if it's the only place you're going to, it kind of develops like a comfort zone for yourself. It develops like a routine. It kind of gets you into this kind of comfortable headspace, when actually what would be better is to kind of go to different locations, vary where you're going, so that you just got different stimulus, and that will actually have potentially a subconscious effect on your interactions for the better, because you're in a new environment. There's more kind of things to inspire you, things to talk about. Even just talking about the environment in your interactions will actually help your interactions as well, because it's something else to talk about, but it's also something that's actually genuine. It's like, I've not been to this place before, this is my impression of it, I'm gonna talk about that to this person, see what they think, and build a connection that way. So yeah, it does have like a subconscious effect. If you're just repeating this kind of, doing the same thing all the time, yeah, it will get you into that kind of robotic state of mind. And I certainly had that in my first 1 or 2 years of day game. So yeah, vary it up a bit. If you're a beginner intermediate guy, then yeah, obviously doing dedicated day game sessions is advisable. And so yeah, so you obviously have to pick a location to do your sessions, but do try and vary your locations. It will help you. It will kind of develop you better. It will actually have an impact on how inspired you are in your conversations, actually. So yeah, so just think about different hotspots around your city. Don't always go to the same one. That's a really important piece of advice. Obviously, if you're more of an advanced guy and you don't necessarily do like dedicated sessions and you just integrate it into your life, that's what I do most of the time, then yeah, like you're just going to approach girls as and when you're going from A to B. So like if you're going to the grocery store, or if you're going to meet some friends, going to the bus stop or the train station, whatever, you see a girl on the way, then yeah, you approach her, and that's like very efficient, and it's also very natural as well, because you're not going out to do day game, you're just doing it as you're living your life, and you're just like, oh, there's a hot girl, okay, cool, let's approach her. So yeah, as a beginner, do definitely vary your locations, and you'll also get a sense for like, which locations are, the differences between different locations, what the vibe is like. Because the external environment of where you're doing approaches is actually quite important. So like you'll notice on Oxford Street, obviously really busy, a bit chaotic. It's not really conducive to actually stopping someone and trying to just speak to them in the middle of the street. And that's also another reason why I got a lot of flakes back in the day. But yeah, try it in different environments. Go inside the actual shops. Go to shopping malls. Go to more chilled out areas. Parks or the South Bank along the river. There's loads of different environments, especially if you're in a place like London. But most cities, there's definitely different environments, not just the main high streets. And don't be afraid to actually go inside venues. Don't be afraid to go inside an art gallery or a coffee shop or whatever the place is. As long as it's a public area, you can approach. Don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to kind of get out of your comfort zone. Don't make the street your comfort zone, just the high street, just that one location, because it will stifle you. It will mean that you're going to limit yourself in terms of the amount of girls that you can approach, but also it's going to affect your mind state as well, because it's going to make you into that, a bit more of that kind of one-track mind, where you're not receiving enough kind of stimulation, enough inspiration. So it is important, and it will affect you. So yeah, that's my advice with that.
Cheers for watching. If you'd be interested in one-to-one coaching with me, where we'll go out in public and work on your approaching girls, or more generally with your social confidence, please visit my website ed-game.com.